Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am the president of the Berlin-Brandenburg Academy of Sciences and Humanities, which hosts your workshop in this building. In this function, I am often asked to say a few friendly words, explain the attendees of a conference, what the Academy is and does, and wish everyone a successful meeting. However, in the current case, I am not really a neutral person, unfamiliar with the subject of the workshop. I have started campaigning for open access in academic publishing about 25 years ago, in a time when this term did not yet exist, and I have kept on doing this ever since. Therefore, I will not say anything about the Academy and I will say a few more words than just hello. My remarks may sound somewhat offensive, but they faithfully describe my view of the current situation in academic publishing, which is slightly different from what we heard just before. I am also a member of the negotiation team of the German Deal project that tries to significantly change the way scientific results are published. After a long time of contemplating about the way how scientific publishing should be organized, I became convinced that gold open access is the way to go. I will not explain here why I feel confident that this is the best way, and I cannot describe here the reasons why basically all German scientists and librarians have joined the move towards this goal. This would take too much time, but I'm happy to be able to report that the latter development is indeed the case. I have always been aware of the significant imbalance and the fundamental divisions of the academic publication market. Being in the deal negotiation team, this became even more apparent. On the side of the scientists, there is an atomistic market where, up to now, and unfortunately, many of the actors play without having any clue about the economic consequences of their activities. This has changed in some academic subjects like my own field, mathematics. In Germany and a few other countries where buyer alliances have been organized, which are, as expected, immediately accused of forming monopolies, and they are taken to court. Fortunately, without success and with the result of strengthening the alliances. On the publisher side, there is a very small number of huge publication enterprises with very smart marketing people. They totally dominate the market, produce grotesque profits, and amazingly manage to pretend to be the good Samaritans of the sciences. And there are the tiny others, and I understand there are some of them here, gathering here. They are, though, attentively observed by many delegates of the big players who are letting them play the game, ready to swallow them if an opportunity comes up. I am sure that when you, the small publishers, discuss with the representatives of the big guys, these are most likely very friendly to you. But once you are in a negotiation situation like I have been, when it comes to discussing system changes and when the arguments are starting to get tight, the smiles disappear and the greed begins to gleam. You will hear in words and not implicitly that the small academic publishers are considered to be just round-off errors, tolerated for another while, irrelevant for the worldwide scientific publishing market, and having no influence at all. These are not my words. One big publisher stated, if your country stops subscribing to our journals, science in your country will be set back significantly. I responded with the same amount of aggression that it is interesting to hear such a threat from a producer of envelopes who does not have any idea of the contents what he distributes. I wonder what the roles of meetings such as this one are. Are the small academic publishers really convinced that they can still play a role and that they can survive? In what direction do you think is the academic publishing market moving? Will you be able to co-direct it? Will the small publishers side with the intentions of the scholars, or will you try to copy the move towards becoming a packaging industry that exploits the volunteer work of scientists and results financed by public funding? The sciences do need support for their publication endeavors, there is no doubt. and there is cooperation needed. They are ready to pay for the services, but they are increasingly becoming aware that they have become a small piece in the wheelwork of an exploitation machinery. All scientists I know resent this. I noticed that yesterday there was a debate entitled "Resolved Science and Scholarship Should Be Curated and Hosted by Public Institutions, Not by Commercial Publishers." I would be happy to learn the results of this discussion, and in particular I would like to read the written version of the keynote of the final contribution of yesterday's evening entitled "Scholarly Publishing in the Future." I would be glad to hear that you became also convinced that the academic publication business has to take a turn. As stated in the beginning, I personally do know what I want, but I do not know whether this can be achieved. I do know, though, that the major publishers are verbally agreeing, but not acting in this direction at all, simply in order to maintain their huge profit margins. In a market economy, no one can argue against profit maximization, but one is also allowed to act against it. The danger may be really disruptive instead of smooth moves in the development of the academic publication market. Anyway, we witness exciting times, and I would wish that this workshop could find a way to go into the direction of open science, which, in my opinion, is the ultimate goal of making the results of all scientific endeavors public, and that is what all scientific activities are about. You may not have enjoyed my somewhat unusual words of welcome, but I do hope that you will enjoy this year's APE conference. Thank you.